Welcome, everyone. We are talking Tesla today. With us on the show, we got the Dean. We're just going to go with Dean. Awesome. That's good. And we got the Admiral, as always, traveling the world. Where in the world is the Admiral today?
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. That's amazing. So that's real nice and warm. Got like 80-degree weather and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And Dean, if you don't mind sharing, what state are you joining us from?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
North Carolina. Oh, wow.
I'm a Philly boy that moved down here about 25 years ago. So
today we're going to be talking about Tesla, and we've talked about this before. And as many of the members here at CFU know, I'm a big bull on Tesla and I have a very large position invested in Tesla, but that's because I do believe in the company long term. However, I do want to take a new and different approach on the company today, and I want to share some ideas on that. And as always, we have the Admiral here to give his comments and bring us back to reality. So, why I'm still bullish on Tesla. It's kind of funny when I was preparing to speak about this or to have this on the show. Tesla was actually down in like the 360s, 350s. I think it actually broke down into the 335 range. And a lot of people were saying this is done or he's going to have some problem executing on his model and where he's wanting to go. And when I say he, I'm talking about Elon Musk. And then since preparing and getting ready for this, Tesla has ripped and it's up to 401, 403 today. It kind of feels like I'm looking back in hindsight and saying, well, we were right all along and here we're back, baby. And it feels good, but I think there's still a long runway to go with Tesla. I still think we're in early days, and let's go jump into this. Especially if you're a new member with Cashflow University, this is an opportunity for you as well to drop your question or comment if you're getting started with us. But feel free at any time to raise your hand and pop a question in the comments there. And Admiral and Dean, anytime you want to jump in and shed some light or into any additional information that you might have, feel free to do so. So let's jump in. Okay, so we all know the products that Tesla Automotive or Tesla Motors or Tesla, the company, has. Okay, so we have the various lineup of vehicles. And in our last earnings call that we had with Elon Musk, he mentioned that he was going to discontinue the Model X, discontinue the Model S, and those factories or those production lines were going to get repurposed to embrace more of his autonomous future that he sees. And they were going to do more Optimus robot manufacturing and getting those ready to scale up. In addition to that as well, they also want to, as of April, begin rolling out the cyber taxi en masse and scale up that production and be able to pump out, let's say, 2,000 to 5,000 cyber taxis each and every week. Is that what you guys understood as well too from the earnings call, from where Tesla was going and what they wanted to be doing?
Yeah, that's a very fair assessment.
Yeah. And are you on board with that? What was your thought when you heard that the Model X or Model S was going to be discontinued?
I've seen them on the roads so much. Like it's the kind of a niche product. The three is, the three in the live and carrying everything. So
Trying to deploy deliver.
it's terrific. I mean, I know a few people have the Model X, and it's a great car, but again, I think I read that the X and the Y and the 3 make up 98%, and the Cybertruck now too. It's still 98% of their sales. So it's just, they're going to come out with a Roadster soon. So that's something new.
When you were talking, well, they've delivered 98. I thought you were going to say 98 Cybertrucks, and I know his vision is pretty like, yeah, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be this truck. It's going to compete against the F-150, but I don't know if it truly landed or it became the product that perhaps he was envisioning and what it could become. I think one good thing about Elon Musk is that he's very willing to cut and let something go if he sees a better avenue going forward. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cybertruck does get cut. I still think the Cybertruck will eventually get canceled and allow him to focus more into Optimus and whatnot. So where I wanted to go with our analysis today is to talk about, well, if you buy or if you're long on Tesla, you're not so much buying the products or investing in those products, but you're investing more in a system. Tesla Automotive as a company is very good at having an engineering focused mindset. They are all about improving their ability to manufacture at scale a product that has the ability to revolutionize or disrupt an industry. And where he's wanting to go now is he sees autonomy, robotics, that labor force. He sees an opportunity to flip that and re-engineer how we deliver products and manufacture goods. Maybe that Optimus robot could help us in many different ways. He sees it as a $30 trillion market that he wants to get into. He's able to address and get into that market with the same engineering operating system. I like to look at Tesla as an engineering operating system, and Elon Musk is the chief of engineering in that regard. And each product, as they get down and they're able to enhance their production and get it to scale, they're able to deliver that product out to the market there. Dean, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience as a Tesla owner?
I'm on my second one, and I had the original Model Y from back, I think it was a 2020 model, which actually I had. And, long story short, I use it all the time. My wife and I we're older, we're empty nesters. We were taking a trip and we were out, I think, near Memphis. And I don't know if I could say that I won't say the Tesla saved our lives, but we got rear-ended. We got rear-ended by a car going about 50 miles an hour. And not a scratch, only get one of us, amazingly. And I don't know if it was, the car or the safety of the car, the weight of the car, whatever the case may be, but total the car, but we were just fine. So then we replaced that with another one and had that for 3 or 4 years. And then when the new model came out this year, I went and took a test drive. And the difference, if you have an older Model Y or the new generation Model Y, the difference is, I don't know what you have, Stephen, but it's quite different. It's quite an upgrade. It brings, because I've had every make and model of car in my lifetime, from I don't think I've had a Lexus, but every other luxury car maker. And this new model makes it much more in that category in terms of the fit, the finish, the ride, the quietness of the cabin, just the little features, the little things in the car that make it nice. The sound system's great. So overall, it's a great car. But really, to me, the thing that makes it game changer is the full self-driving. I mean, if you've not experienced that, and it's kind of like the first time, if you remember the first time you used cruise control 100 years ago, you were a little tentative. Am I going to let this thing go by itself? And that's where you are at first with the full self-driving. But once you use it a few times, we live in Charlotte. I've got some kids that live in Wilmington on the beach, and we go out there all the time. It's about a 3.5 hour drive. Boom, full self-driving. It's going through some towns. It's on the interstate. It goes around circles. It does everything flawlessly. And it just takes all of the wear and tear out of driving anywhere, whether it's a 3-hour drive or, we're going to go to the Upper Peninsula this summer and drive up there. It's easy because you just observe and you pay attention, but you don't have to sit there and stress over the right speed, being in the right lane, worrying about drifting. You can just enjoy your trip. So it's definitely a game changer. Brian, first of all,
Worry about drifting. Yeah.
I saw an ad the other day. I think there was like a 98-year-old woman that got one because she can now go places that she wasn't able to go before because she really can't drive. But it's a fantastic product.
So you bring up some points there that I really like and are easy to leverage and see how they can apply to cyber taxi. So I have a Model Y Performance, and it's 2023. So it's the model before you.
Right.
And it does have full self-drive, and I have it, and I love it. Like, I can go downtown and it's like flawless, able to park, everything. Like, and I love the summon feature, right? Where you walk out of the store and it's almost like a party trick. It's like, check this out. The car is going to go over to me and it's going to pick us up. And then people are like, what the hell? And as they're walking with their like Walmart card or their Costco card or whatever, or, it's busy at Costco and they're coming in and out. And then you're waiting there and it's coming and it pauses, waits for them to go, and then it keeps going and they're looking inside. What the hell? It's like a ghost driving this car. The funniest thing is my son, he'll be like, I just want to stay in the car. I'll watch YouTube. Okay, I'll go in and get whatever the thing is. I come out and I summon it and it'll come with him. So as a passenger, he's sitting in the car like, the hell is this? And the people that are looking over and they're watching, they're saying, this is wrong. There's nobody. First, there's no driver. Second, there's a kid in the car, and it's just moving. It's like, hey man, and you don't just hear like the people like, you shouldn't do that. Like, man, if we're in a parking lot and it's going 5 kilometers an hour, like, settle down. It's okay. But it's fun to watch, and I love it. And my son always likes. He says like, Dad, why'd you do that? I wasn't expecting. I'm like, hey man, you never know when I'm going to come us. There you go. But I love it. So have you had the pleasure of driving full self drive yet?
I haven't done full self. I've been in all of them. I've been in since we last spoke. I've been in a Cybertruck.
Right on.
Cybertruck is going to have a longer life than you think, and I'll tell you why.
That's
For the
good.
Americans, it's over 6,000 pounds. So you can hit that, your bonus depreciation, your EV subsidy. If you don't want a G-Wagon, or you just can't, or they just can't find one for you, because that's often a thing at the end of the year, Cybertruck can tick the box. I will say, the ride was so smooth.
Cybertruck?
Yeah, very smooth. Well,
Yeah, that's what I've heard and read and watched. The ride is even more phenomenal than any other product.
but
Hey.
the long and wide wheelbase. I mean, it's a boat. Like there was a reason why the Mercedes S-Class is the dimensions.
Now, did you cut yourself on any of the angles of the stainless steel?
No, and wasn't attacked by a raccoon. Mistake it for a dumpster either.
Okay.
We've all seen those memes.
Yeah.
No, I think the Cybertruck is just going to be the cool niche product, and I think it's got ways to run. I think it's a limited run. It was a novelty, and like so many things, it was a giant splash.
And I do think it'll last forever. Like, that thing being made of stainless steel, and it's, electric vehicles in and of themselves will last longer than a normal ICE engine vehicle.
Yeah,
We don't know about
totally.
the battery. That's the last unknown. But in terms of like, it's an electric motor. We've had electric motors since almost the dawn of time. It came right after fire. We got electric motors. But like, we've had them for forever. And it's just a magnet with a coil around it, and you just energize the coil, and it rotates. So it's going to be, yeah, it'll last a long time. The Cybertruck for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Long
and the other models I haven't been in.
But demand.
I did a lot in 2021, but
Yep.
happy to hear, Dean, that the fit and finish has gotten better, because it was a plastic fantastic back then.
Yeah, a lot better. A market difference.
I've been reading Elon Musk's biography by Walter Isaacson, and he has a lot of different observations that he has about Elon Musk. He also gets into his psychological profile of him, which is interesting in and of itself. But I did want to go through Tesla's engineering OS, if you will. So this came and it was really forged during 2017 and 2018 when they were doing their best to increase the production line of the Model 3. They needed to get it up to 5,000 units per week. That was their goal. And they started at a very low number. I know when they crossed the 2,500 and the 3,500 a week mark, they were very excited, but he was like, no, we still have to get up to 5,000. This is how they did it. So first off, they question every single requirement. Nothing is sacred. Nobody's able to have a requirement that they cannot defend. And he also said that requirements that come down from people who are higher up or who have weight, say as a director or a VP or SVP, those are often the most deadly requirements because they have clout and weight, and people are afraid to question them. So he told all of his staff and all the people on the fabrication lines or the production lines, question any requirement. And that led to them finding out some requirements that just weren't necessary or were just dumb and stupid. And as they were able to remove those, gets us into the second one here of delete. Remove everything that is not necessary. Continue to delete and remove until you get down to a point where you have to actually add back 10% to whatever that is. If it's a process, if it's people, if it's pieces in a car, get down to that point. And you can see that every single part that has been decided to be included has a distinct purpose. Like the number of buttons in the car, it's like there's 4. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's really low number. And so like he's gone through, he's like, if it doesn't serve a purpose, get it out, delete it. So, but there's been some more additional features that have come back into the Model Y. I think like you have a little TV in the back row.
Yep.
Yeah.
Little TV in the back row. You've got the heated and cooled seats, some more creature comforts. I think the one thing that nobody thinks about. So I had between my first two, the one that was totaled and the second one, 4 years. My maintenance costs were $29.95 for a cabin air filter and about $75 for the battery that powers the windows and stuff before you get in. So never had an oil change. I never even had to replace the brakes because of the regenerative braking. You hardly use the brakes unless you're going really fast.
You do the one pedal driving.
Yeah. And so there's nothing that can go wrong. There's nothing that can go bad. There's no moving parts in the vehicle except the wheels. So that's on top of the savings for fuel. Even when gas was cheaper, 6 months ago, I was still saving money. But still, between the fuel savings, no maintenance whatsoever. You don't have to go get the $59 oil change. So you rotate the tires every so often, and that's about it. And that's something I think that nobody thinks about until you've had it for a while. There's no cost to owning the car until you replace the tires.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's about it.
I've gone through 30,000 miles on mine, or 50,000 kilometers, and I haven't done one thing on it. I did rotate my tires, which ended up being like, well, I don't need to do that any longer because I have winter tires during the winter, and so I have to swap them. So that takes care of that part for me. And yeah, like no brakes, no oil change, nothing. And it's great having a low maintenance vehicle. And it's not just that cost though, right? It's also to the time. Like I don't have to do an appointment. You go to it and spend time there doing that on a any day of the week, right? I can not have to do that at all. So it's really nice. And it gets back to like, you can kind of see how the electric vehicles that are out there now from Tesla really, so question, delete, and then simplify. So they want to reduce everything down to the simplest form possible. Becomes a lot easier to manage and diagnose problems too if they do arise. After that, then they want to accelerate. They want to speed up every iteration, and they want to make everything go faster so that whatever the time to complete is, they want to tighten that acceleration. And lastly is to automate. And this is one of the mistakes that they made early on with the Model 3 production line is they did automation early and they found out they should not be doing that. Automation should actually be the last thing that they do because when they automated early, they had processes and components that were being automated in, and they found that, hey, we don't need to automate that. We can actually delete that. We can remove that. We can simplify that. So then when we do automate, eventually it'll be even more lean and even more accelerated. And so when they had this automobile at the very end, it's like they knew it inch to inch exactly this could not be any more efficient or simplified any further. And these principles will be very important. I think Tesla's very much moving away from being a car company, and I think that's being very true going forward. It's going to become more of the Optimus and everything else that comes with it. This is where that algorithm and that formula was produced. And this last little quote there from Elon Musk in 2018, he says, execution is a bitch. You can come up with a prototype, you can come up with this amazing idea, it's going to work, but execution is the bitch that is very difficult to get through. It's just, the rank of difficulty to get something to scale and be able to produce it cheaply, quickly, and efficiently is the real question. And they've done it so many times with the Model 3, the Model Y, and they're going to have to do that when they get to the point where they're going to have to use Optimus. And you can already see that too, where they're having to do their own AI chips as well. And we'll get into that in a little bit later here as to why do they do that? Why do they just use NVIDIA chips going forward or AMD or Broadcom? So let's talk about our Optimus robots. I haven't seen one in the flesh yet. Have you guys been able to see one live doing anything, a robot or a humanoid robot at all or anything? Dean, how about you?
Well, I think the Admiral knows the answer.
Oh, the Admiral, have you seen an Optimus robot or a humanoid robot in the flesh?
Gentlemen, you're looking at a robot now. So
What? No way. Is it Dean or is it you? So none of us has seen one. Actually, I should have put a video on there so we could all just watch one all together and stuff. But I guess a lot of the questions we have is kind of on the slide here. The wrong question is, is the robot product going to be a competitive novelty category, right? Like, am I going to get this robot that I'm going to buy? It's going to come into my house and I'm just going to give it random chores and stuff. Is it going to be actually like do anything? And I think the answer on that is definitely it's going to be a productive asset. It's going to be usable, and it's going to be first off, they're going to deploy it as a labor unit to Tesla to begin with, and they're going to put them on the assembly line. And they're going to be helping out in producing the vehicles that they got and other engineering tasks that they'll have. And by the end of 2027, they want to be producing 1 million units a year on this, and the target cost is about $30,000. Yeah, the Cybertruck, that was their target cost to begin with, and I don't think they're anywhere near that. But do you think he'll be able to deliver a humanoid robot for $30,000 US? Do you think it's possible?
I wouldn't bet against him. I mean, he's being the most efficient manufacturer of anything that we've ever seen. So, but like a lot of things, if you look back through history, a lot of technology that started at the corporate level, meaning in manufacturing, where it was very expensive, that kind of eventually it filters down to the average American or the average person, North American, because they learn how to manufacture it, and it becomes cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, more productive. And I think that over time, I think it's going to come down quite a bit. I mean, you think about even not too long ago, I had the very first iPhone. It was kind of a novelty when I got it, and it was like, and even
Did you line up for it? Did you line up for it?
what's that?
Did you line up for the iPhone?
I didn't line up for it. No.
I remember those, like, it was like 2-day line. People would go there like 4 days early, camp out.
I didn't line up for it, but I had the first model, and even go back to, the first PCs. It's just, you think about these things, and 30 years from now, we'll be looking back at today talking about, I think, Optimus and the humanoid robots. I think it's a fait accompli. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when and how long it takes to get so that the average person. But my kids are talking about using them for babysitters, mowing the grass. I mean, they're just talking about using them as around the house people.
What's your vision on your, okay, like, you're not going to go and get like one robot. I know you're going to go out there and you're going to buy two.
They're going to be my tenant farmers somewhere. I'm gonna buy a
Exactly.
farm. Where I see this going is that your cost of your robot, I think we saw how he's done with cars. You've got your Tesla, then it goes this, and then it's now you're going to be able to deploy your Tesla as a robotaxi, and then there'll be pure robotaxis. I think the robots are going to follow the same. They're going to follow the same line. I
Okay,
think
hold
we're
on.
going to.
Yeah. So I'm going to have 6 of these robots.
Yeah.
And they're going to be my employees, and I'm going to like rent them out, and they're going to go do work for me for the day, and they'll get paid. Is that where you're going with that?
Yeah. I think that's where this is going. And I think, like, look at, I looked at a house at an HOA today here. Well, the HOA, they'll have 2 robots. It'll get everyone's garbage. It'll mow their lawns. It'll shovel up north. I think we're going to see it less as individual robot ownership. We're going to see it as more of a group, or someone say, I want to have it in one of my apartment buildings. I'll have a robot for the building, and it'll deliver the packages, and it'll lot. I think that's where it's going. I don't think it's going to be so much 1-to-1. I think it's going to be like summoning, and then there'll be entrepreneurs like yourself who will have them, and that's where the car model's going, and the robot, I think, is as well, if not even more so, suited to that. So that's where I think this goes.
Do you think robots will make robots? Do you think Optimus will start to make themselves?
Of course.
And then
They're already making themselves.
And then you can see how this like spirals out of control, right? Where
The science fiction aspect of things is pretty amazing.
oh, yeah, exactly. We got Optimus robots everywhere now. Who let the cats out? Like who did this? Because now we have a whole different problem. We can't stop them. Because you try and stop them, they'll figure out a way to get around you, like your kids do, right? You take away their iPhone, they'll figure out a way to get a tablet.
Yeah. No, I think shared use. I think that's huge. I think it will be a similar model. How you summon your robotaxi. It'll be, I've got a lot of work to do today. I want to summon a robot or 2.
I hadn't thought that I could do you rent them out? Do you lease them out? I don't know what you call them, but like let them go and do work for you. They get paid, and then you get paid on top of that, right? think it's
Yeah,
business.
even if they have some sort of an easy finance program for them, because I pay $500 a month for somebody to come on my grass. I pay $75 a week for somebody to come and maintain my pool and put the chemicals in and all that kind of stuff. There's all these services that we pay now for that if I have no money and I can finance a robot for a few $100 a month, it's going to be cheaper than paying to have that stuff done by human beings. A lot
Oh
of
man, is like somebody's gonna want to rent your robot because they want the cheap labor from that, and they're willing to pay, like you were saying, like $75. Well, what if you could lease them or rent them your robot for $20, and then it does the exact same work on that?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Like you can undercut for physical labor by a human with your robot, and you can be the owner of the robot, and you're making money on the side for it. Exactly, man. And then even with white collar, right? I mean, he just goes to the desk, sits down, and he uses the computer, right? He's able to read the screen and the monitor, and he's able to interface with the computer and do even faster work than you could. He's a mobile unit. He's a mobile GPU in a sense too, right? He's got all the processors inside of him. Just connect him to the computer, let him do the work for 8 hours, and see all the code he's able to pump out and stuff. Why not? As a, he could go be a project manager, do a Gantt chart, do all those spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff. And he doesn't even need the monitor anymore. Just plug him in and just sits there. He's a on-site GPU doing the work for you. It's kind of nuts, man.
I just want one that will take care of the chore that I hate the most, which is my wife says we need to change the sheets on the bed. It takes forever on a king size bed when we've got the adjustable bed and split king. It's just very difficult to do. So just having somebody do that, I would buy a robot just for that.
There are going to be some funny videos and memes that come out with the robot where, like, I know you're talking about with the bed sheets. So you tell it, go switch the sheets or put the sheets on or whatever. They just came out of the dryer. He goes up, he's trying to tuck in the corner, right? And then he goes over to the opposite side to tuck that corner in. But then in doing that, it makes the other corner come back out. 4 hours later, you go in there and check on him. He's just doing the same thing over and over. What is wrong with you? It's going to be funny that, and there's going to be that meme and that video of an old person yelling at it. It's not because it's not doing exactly what they want, and they're like hitting it with a cane or something like that, and it's just getting frustrating. So it's going to be fun to see. The next big product I think is so we've talked about Catalyst one there with the humanoid robot, with the Optimus robot. Let's get into the semi truck. I think that's one that's kind of falling under the radar. People aren't really talking about that a whole lot. And I think this has a lot of potential to disrupt the trucking industry and also help us to reduce costs of a living for us. So the total addressable market for the humanoid robot is 30 trillion. And I know when we get down into this and talk about 700 billion trucking market, that's not that big of a deal, but it's a massive industry. We always see trucks on the road. They are the lifeblood. They are the last mile for everything. We see this with Amazon packages, right? And I think it's going to be very disruptive and very awesome to see them get lower cost per mile, bringing down the costs for us. But also, too, there's the autonomy with full self-drive. There's going to be a point where these semi-trucks are able to do this all on their own. We just talked about humanoid robots. This is going to become the truck robot, if you will, who's able to just move and haul heavy loads from destination A to destination B and just keep on going between those two. And I didn't know this, but PepsiCo, they actually have a fleet deployed of these already. They're doing kind of like a test net of that. Have you guys seen any of these on the road?
I've not seen one, but I actually just looking at this the other day, and I was talking about it recently. A lot of things, just like with the cars, a lot of things that people don't think about, because everybody talks about the range. When you put a good bazillion gallons of diesel in a typical diesel, but they're getting 3 to 5 miles per gallon, I think, typically on a semi, and a 500-mile range with a full payload, which is huge. And then what was interesting, where I drive, I'll go up and down mountains, right? And you have a tremendous amount of fuel is used going up the mountain with a heavy payload and that's where the trucks are crawling along at 30 miles an hour going up.
Mhm.
And then the amount of fuel they have to use that they waste coming down the mountain because they have to throttle everything back, right? And we know from the regenerative braking that coming back down the mountain, that's going to recharge those batteries incredibly. So the efficiency of the trucks, especially where you have mountainous regions, is going to be just, I think it's going to blow your mind. I really do think that's
Yeah, exactly.
a game changer.
And I think too, when you go from like a pure ICE engine vehicle to an EV, even a hybrid, and you see how they're able to regenerate and put some of that energy back to the battery, I think you kind of like mentally you start to say that's a much better way to drive. Just having that ability to recapture some of the energy, store it, and reuse it later. Because a lot of energy was spent to go up that mile, or sorry, up that hill. A lot of energy is spent just sitting there at the red light. And it'd be great if we could store that, capture it, and save it for later. So I totally agree. Like the semi truck's going to get some of that savings there too. So this is going to be another big industry that Tesla's going to be able to disrupt, and a lot of the technology that they're building for the AI chips and the autonomous will come into play here too. The third one that we want to talk about, this is the cyber taxi. So my favorite use case for the cyber taxi or this is I need to go to a particular place. It's my daily commute. I need to go 20 or 30 miles, and it costs me between $10 and $15 to get there after I factor in the cost of my vehicle, the depreciation, the insurance. You take the whole gambit in, you're probably spending about $10 to $15 per day on your daily commute. The cyber taxi is going to really change that algorithm. You're going to have to really look at it and then equate it out and say, like, how much does it cost me to get downtown or to go to my job that's over at a particular office? And if this cyber taxi is able to do that for the same cost, maybe even less than public transit, you're really going to start to think, do I even need to have a car at all? This cyber taxi is going to take you to your destination. It's going to drop you off, and then it's going to leave you. You don't have to pay for parking. You don't have to try and find a parking spot. And if you're going to an airport to get on to a plane, you don't have to go through any headache there. It's going to take you, it's going to drop you off. So you don't have to pay for parking. And I love that, door to door. And then when you get out, say you're done your shift or you're ready to go home, you call the taxi, it comes and picks you up and it takes you back to your home. And I think they're going to have a bit of a problem with people not, there's going to be so many cyber taxis coming to a particular destination because, Will, you're visiting in Austin, Texas right now. That's not but like, have you seen a Waymo taxi? Have you seen these out in the plains of
Waymos.
Austin?
I've seen Waymos. I've seen Waymos in Scottsdale too, Arizona, and I've seen them go by when I've been downtown Austin, and I look forward to getting in one day. I think this is the future, and I think in 10 years we could have the same everything.
I've not seen the Waymo, but locally, but it eliminates people today. How should I put this? Mostly media generated, but you just always hear the bad stories about the Uber driver that tried to do something to me, right? And so not having to, today's generation, they enjoy not having to interact with human beings, which is why the humanoid robots will be great, right? But to not have to deal with a person, I had to deal with that, I think is a big plus, and what will make them more attractive.
I've gotten into some Ubers and it's like, wow, like thanks for the nice smell that I get to enjoy for half an hour with you.
You've got.
I'm sorry, like, can you not put on deodorant? Is that not a thing for you?
Where home base is for you, Stephen, you've got to go up in the class. You can't be taking the basic Ubers.
You can't be taking basic Ubers? No,
Uber Black or
well, so I have to go Calgary. I don't think we have Uber Black. I think we have Uber Premium. We don't have official Uber Black at home, but you got to Uber Premium. Comfort at a minimum, and even Comfort, your 1 and 3 will turn your stomach.
Okay, so you're saying that I need to like just not be so cheap on the Uber and not pick the base model. Okay, I got you.
You've got to go up that. But that was the rule for I don't put my mother in anything or my daughter. It's uber black if we're in a city with that, or we just do it because that's your comfort and your smell insurance.
So okay, I got a question. So you've been down in Arizona, Scottsdale. You saw the Waymo ones there. Were they on highways?
Yes.
They were? Because I've heard that
Yeah.
I've heard them in Arizona, they're not allowed to go on highways. They're not allowed to go on the I-15.
So, okay, they're not on, it's not technically a highway, but you know how broad some of these big streets are, where you're going 50, 60.
Yeah.
3 lanes, you're so far apart. It's not an interstate. I haven't seen them on an interstate.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited for this one a lot. Of the many different ventures they're getting into, for me, it's Cybertaxi and the Optimus robot. I think they're just two of the best disruptors to so many different industries, right? Like, I think we're all going to feel the impact of those. Okay. So we have the Optimus milestones. I think they've ran into some issues with the production line. They're not able to get them just ironed out exactly the way that they want to get them done. So they're having to revisit a few of those. And I'm actually happy to hear that. If it was easy to get an Optimus robot developed and out and up to scale, I think that would be I would be a little disconcerted with that. I would think that there's going to be a competitor who's going to be able to replicate and build the exact same thing or better than Tesla. So I'm here. Obviously, they'll get them sorted out, and they'll be able to get some patents in place and some licensing in place so that they had a moat there for a while. And the semi volume is going to be coming up here, and Cyber Taxi, those should be getting up and going. Okay, so that's the last slide there that we got. What I wanted us to do now is let's pull up the chart on Tesla, because we have earnings coming up here. I found that out today when I was going to sell a covered call. So I'll just take this off the screen and I'll present.
I think earnings 22nd.
What's that?
Earnings are the 22nd. Let me confirm that.
Entire screen, or just do the window.
Yep, April 22nd. Yep.
Okay, awesome. So let's take a look at the chart on Tesla. See, this is when I was preparing the presentation, putting together the channel for today's. This is right around the time when it was down here at the dumps, and I'm like, man, that's a really good buying opportunity. We have a demand zone right here, shaded in blue, and I think it's going to go up from there. I did not anticipate it breaking out through here. I would have said something along with the trend line like this, right? You can kind of see that there. I think Tesla would have hit resistance here and maybe pulled back a little bit. So it's going to have some resistance as it pulls into the supply zone here.
Yeah.
And so this is a really good opportunity. This is what when I was looking at doing a covered call on Tesla today, I was really looking at this area through here. So through these first 2 weeks of May, I'm looking at the very bottom of my screen there. It has the date. These dates through here, the covered calls are very, very juicy. Like it was excellent. I sell the 450 covered call on Tesla. And the reason why it was so juicy is because earnings are on April 22nd here. So next week. And being the bull that I am on Tesla, I want to have full participation to the upside there. And like, man, I don't want to be giving that away for a few. I think it was like $400 through it in this zone here. So it was good. That was good enough to sell a covered call, but I don't want to. I mean, and it could race up and break through 500 very easily. That would be the next high resistance zone. There is that 498 is the next week high off after that. So I would not want to be. So right now, the auction plays that I have on Tesla, I have shares, I have options out on the TSLL, the leveraged ETF of Tesla, and also I have a synthetic long on Tesla as well too. One thing you can do with the synthetic long, I can show you this on option strat. Okay, you got that there. Perfect. On option strat, one of the strategies you can do if you have enough buying power is when you come in and you go to just do a long call on this one here. We're on Tesla, we're looking out, and let's just put the December 18 one out. And so it's going to cost you a lot to buy. Let's go at the money here at 400. So if you're going to buy the 400 call, it's going to cost you $6,700 for a December exposure there. So you're betting that Tesla will go up quite a bit from there. But what you can do is you can also add a put onto this. And if you sell that put right at the same money, which is essentially does create that synthetic long, it does reduce your debit down to $1,000. And essentially, this is going to move dollar for dollar the same as stock. However, if you do have a little bit more appetite for risk, what you can do is you can start to slide up the put here to a point where you're going to not only cover your costs, but you're actually going to start being paid a little bit here. So this one here, if you put it up to 430, you're actually going to get paid up front to have a synthetic long. It does skew the profit profile a little bit through here because you are taking on additional risk as it goes through. But after you get above 430, you're doing real nice as you get full participation and you actually got paid to enter in that position. Of course, yes, this is going to change your buying power quite substantially, but this strategy of entering in on synthetic longs are a great way to approach stock trading if you're looking at establishing a long position in the stock. This can be applied to Tesla. This can be applied to even much lower price stocks as well too. I'll take this daily tip off here. I don't know if you guys have done any synthetic longs like this where you get paid to take on the position. Oh, you have.
But I don't like it.
You don't like it.
Why don't you like it?
I played around with this with iBit and then
Yeah.
didn't get burned. It didn't get burned alive, but it's a little unpleasant. There's a certain point where you chew up so much buying power. It's like, okay, look at a different way you could deploy this. That's my thing. But it is an advanced technique. I wish, which of course you know all about, Steve. Uzi knows all about this too.
What happened with Uzi on this one?
He
Are you
had
talking about the hood trade? That's the only one that I know of.
his hood trade.
Yeah.
So,
So this is just one of the ways that, like, say you're like, oh man, I really want to have a good exposure on this stock. It is risky. I'm not trying to dismiss or minimize the risk here, but this can be an easier way to get full exposure to the stock's upside and also get paid a little bit up front in order to hold that there. So I just
would
wanted
you
to
say
share.
the risk is greater on your leveraged Tesla ETF or this strategy?
Well, it's different. So okay, I know what you're talking about. So if we did like a synthetic long on the leverage ETF or a synthetic long on the straight stock, is that what you're talking about? Like just one for one comparison?
Creating a synthetic long, you want to participate at the upside, so you could buy a triple, believe it's triple L, triple leverage on the Tesla ETF.
TSLL, I think.
TSLL. So it's double. Okay, they haven't made it for one yet. Okay.
But
So
the difference here, so this is $400 stock with Tesla, and when you go to the TSL, the leverage long, it's priced very differently, and that can have it just changes the underlying value of the option trade, so it's just priced differently. However, I think where you're going with this is the daily compounding effect of leverage ETFs, and so if you had, yeah, so it's only leveraged for that day. So it's guaranteed to be 2 times leverage for that day, up by 2 or down by 2. And over the long term, that doesn't equate to 2 times performance, either up or down, because it's going to go down by 2% or it's going to magnify the down movement twice as much. But then when it comes back to compound upward, it's only going to do that for the day. It's not going to do that for the week or for the month where it had that long-term exposure. And so it's not going to come back just as quickly. It's only compounding for that day.
Yeah.
And so over the term of a year, it'll have very different performance, especially if you're doing a synthetic long. I think it would be very different on that. Is that where you were going with it?
yep, it's exactly where I was going.
Yeah, it's something to be aware of. Is like, like if you're investing in TQQQ, which is the 3 times leverage of the Qs. I've heard of people just like, you just buy this and you get really good performance out of it, but it's not going to be over the long term. You're not going to get 3 times performance out of it.
Absolutely.
You'll get better than probably 2 times, I would think, over the long term. Don't you think you're going to get?
Yeah, it's a day trading instrument. You can.
I think they're designed for
The instrument does rebalance, but I find that if you find that the bottom rapidly falls out, then you could just sell covered calls against the track. I'm out of I closed everything out just before we started this. So it's a very nice little run there.
Isn't that insane? Every day is a gap up.
It's historic.
Yeah. And so Friday, so it's Friday, and Friday was time to close that position today.
Yeah. Well, I think I read that the Nasdaq was up 12 straight days, I believe.
I believe so, yes.
And that was, it has never been up 13. Well, I think today was day 13, or yesterday was day 13, and today was day 14. I'm not sure. I haven't been counting, but it's definitely record setting.
That's insane. I mean, even Bitcoin's at 77,000. It's nuts. All right, guys. Yeah, let's wrap it up. Thank you for being with me today, for spending some time and helping us all understand Tesla just a little bit better. If you are interested in joining CFU, head on over to joincfu.com. We have a bunch of products over there that'll help you become a better investor and also trade options with more efficiency and structure and be able to provide yourself with income and better returns for your portfolio. Thanks for being with us today, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye, everyone.